Just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. This is a foundational lesson from the Tao Te Ching, which I apply in my own life. I mention this saying quite a bit in my videos, almost every video. Just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. What do we think that means? Let's talk about it. Why I speak about it so much. Because no matter where we're hung up on this journey of purification and presence, no matter where we get hung up, no matter what trap we get caught in, most likely it can be resolved by just staying at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. What does that mean? It means to stand without attachment or bias. Because let's say you're over at this edge of the circle as opposed to the center. That means you're attached to something over here. But if you're attached, if you're all the way at the edge and you're attached, this is the center, right? If you're all the way against the edge of the circle and you're attached, you can't see anything else around you. Because we start at the edge of the circle. We start with this programming and these attachments. So we can't see anything from a higher perspective. We're stuck at a very low perspective. But as we practice purification and presence, and we start stepping back and getting to this closer and closer to the center of the circle where we have nowhere to go. So we are simply just observing everything. We are not getting attached to it or not getting a bias toward it. So we're no longer letting it suppress us or throw us out of balance or whatever it may be. So this is kind of what standing at the center of the circle means. And so how do we apply it in our life? Just keep stepping back. We basically continue on the path of purification and presence, detoxifying, cleansing the body, the vessel of God, and present, and trying to calm the mind and facilitate a state of peace. I just made a video on that, how to facilitate a state of peace. And that's what we have to do. We have to do all these things: facilitate a state of peace, get in balance, calm the mind, stay present. And so all this works together. We're standing at the center of the circle, because the more and more we stand in the center and don't be attached to anything, the higher our perspective gets. And the faster and faster we break out of the illusion. So that's why it's so important to stand in the center of the circle. Whether you go up the ladder or down the ladder, your position is shaky. But if you stand with your feet planted firmly on the ground, you will have balance. That's a pretty good quote from the Tao Te Ching too, about success and failure. Where you're going. There's nowhere to go. Because the only thing we're ever here to do is surrender to the everlasting, eternal, same thing, love of God. That's what we're here to do. And every single moment. So we're not doing anything. This also relates to another quote from the Tao Te Ching. We're not doing something for the fruits of our labor. Do your work and step back. Do your work and step back. Because anything we're doing, we don't care about the result. That's not the point. Because we're doing everything for God. In every moment. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Wiping your butt. You're doing that for God. That's what the spiritual awakening journey is about. Getting to the point where we're doing everything for God and being conscious of that. And getting into as much presence as we can, because that is how we do everything for God. Being present. That's how we do it. And so standing in the center of the circle. This is why it's so important. This is why I talk about it all the time, because I make lots of different videos about different types of traps we get caught in, different types of cycles of suffering, different types of mental traps we get caught in. I make all these different videos about them. And what's the main answer to all of them? To whatever trap we get caught in, the trap of obligation, trap of eating, binge eating junk food, stress, anything you can imagine is related to some sort of piece of the puzzle that can be solved by standing in the center of the circle, presence and purification. These are all foundational things. Do your work and step back. I love that. I always think about that when I'm making videos, when I'm doing anything. Just let it go. Do your work and step back. Do your work for God and let it go. You don't even have to worry or think about what's going to happen or be attached to what the result is, because it's all for God, and God's going to take care of everything. Everything is divine timing. So so if you haven't listened to the Tao Te Ching, highly recommend it. You don't got to do anything. Just check it out and try to take in some of these awesome messages that are in it, and that can help transform our lives in such a powerful way as it has for me. That's not the only thing I've taken things from. I don't just study the Tao Te Ching. I'm just using this as an example. I use lots of different things. What makes sense to me, I've read lots of different types of spiritual works. I encourage you to do the same, to help you get slightly different angles on the whole game. Because these are all just vessels of God, basically, in one fashion or another, sharing different angles of the game. And so we can get a bigger picture if we welcome in all the information. Like I said, I try to stand in the center of the circle. I just take it all in. I'm not attaching myself to any of it. I'm just gonna check it out. I'm just gonna watch nature run off. I'm just gonna watch it all play out. And this is such a big point in not getting caught up in yourself with shame and guilt and things like that, and regret about things you've done in your past. You got to stand in the center circle. Don't attach yourself to anything. You can let these things go by saying, we're just nature running off. We're just karma running off. So we don't have to judge ourselves. We don't have to feel bad about something we've done. We can still view it from a more ego 3D type level as well, and say, obviously things like accountability are a tricky one, right? I say, obviously there's many levels of the game. What level of the game are we talking about with accountability? At the base level, the physical level, yes, accountability exists and needs to make this physical world run how it can run, with the people that are on it. But if you're looking at it from a very high level, a spiritual level, you're standing way back. You're saying it's all just nature running off. It's all just nature running off. No matter what it is, no matter what's happening, just get rid of positive or negative and replace nature running off. It's all just karma running off. It's all just a play unfolding. Think of how powerful this is and how it can change your perspective, and how you can let go of all this mental weight holding us down. All these things that clog up our mind and our ego and are talking us this way and that way and making us blame this person and feeling bad about doing this, it can just throw you off balance like nothing. So what if we take a higher perspective that we're all just nature running off? We'll stand in the center of the circle, we'll become the observer, and we're just going to let the divine timing play out and focus on purification and presence. This is how it all comes together. Thank you for joining me, my friends. I'm going to try to put at least one video out a day. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. Whatever comes to me. Sometimes I'll take a day off. But I'll try to do 1 a day. something that may be inspiring to me or sharing an experience. Namaste.